Hello everybody, Tokyo Drew 85 here. Today we're going to talk about the 15 hardest retro games in my opinion. Now this entire list is almost entirely 8 and 16-bit games. In the number 15 spot we have Godzilla for the NES. That's one of those games where, you know, when I was younger, I would see my brother play it and beat it pretty easily. So the structure is interesting. It is level-based, but it also has a grid map system. We have to move your character across the board. Either you do a level or you fight a level boss. So it's almost like kind of like a strategy RPG. And I could just not get the hang of this game to play it. Like I tried playing it a few times. I would beat like 1 or 2 planets here and there, but I could just never stick it at. And in the game itself, you change in between Godzilla and Mothra. And again, you tackle different levels, and along the way on the chessboard, I call it, which is like the main map, you'll either do a level or you'll fight a boss. And that's pretty much how the game cycles. Like once you beat the final boss of that area, you'll continue on to a new planet and rinse and repeat. I mean, my biggest issue with this game, it is brutally long, and it really could have benefited from having some kind of save system, but the game is just incredibly long. I remember, I think it took my brother about 4 hours to beat, start to finish. It does have a password system, but it's one of those games where the password is like, 25 characters long. It has upper and lowercase letters, so God forbid you wrote something down wrong, you kind of just SOL at that point. And again, it's one of those games where I watched my brother play through and beat easily, and it's always one I could just never see it through. I get a planet or two in, and I kind of just lose interest in it. In the number 14th spot, we have Last Battle for Sega Genesis, and that's one of those classic Sega Genesis games. I believe it was a launch game or close to launch game, and it's one of those games where, again, like I do the first level, everything's good, your typical side-scrolling action game, with some beat-em-up elements. Then you wind up coming to a map. And I don't know if you ever played Clash at Demon Head for NES. It's a similar map to that. So you pretty much, when you beat a level, you have to move your piece. It'll give you directions to pick, like, down, down right, down left. And then when you pick a direction, you do a level, and you pick a direction, and you do a level. The problem is, like, I don't know really where to go, where I'm supposed to go. I mean, like, I've done some levels, beat some levels, fought some bosses, got some power increases, but, like, I don't know where I'm going. And I can never figure out where I'm going. And with me, if I feel like if I don't feel like I'm making progress in a game, I kind of just lose interest really quick. I mean, I know the game has different chapters, and I already know it's a reskin of a Fist of a North Star game, which seems to be a theme with Sega Genesis and Master System reskinning Fist of the North Star games. But it's just I lose interest in it quick. I just can't get a handle on it. I mean, like I said, I'll move some pieces around the map. I'll fight some bosses, do some stages, but again, like I just don't know if I'm going the right way, or if anything significant is happening, if I'm even progressing the story, and then I kind of just put it down after a few levels. It's a great game, fun to play, but I just can't really figure it out or get a handle on it. In the number 13 spot, we have Alisia Dragoon. Now, Alisia Dragoon, unlike Last Battle, is a fantastic game. It's got great music, a great soundtrack. It is a fun game to play. It has a whole familiar system where you level up your familiar and he learns better moves. It's your typical 2D action game with a female protagonist. She has like a lightning kind of magic she uses, and you can power it up as well. I love this game, but my biggest issue is just stage 7. I feel like it's such like a huge difficulty spike because I play the game pretty well up until stage 7, and I could just never seal the deal with it. I always get really far in the level and just lose all my guys. It continues. It's that level that has all like that weird vertical elevation. I think you're on some kind of ship, and like I got into the boss 1 or 2 times, and I just get like annihilated. There's so many times where I attempted to do it and beat it, but again, it's a fantastic game. Like I love the ride right up until that point, and then I just get annihilated in stage 7. I still haven't beat it to this day. In the number 12 spot, we have Blazing Lasers for the TurboGrafx 16. Again, if you collect or own a TurboGrafx, this is one of those must-have games. It's not terribly expensive, even by today's pricing standards. It is a horizontal shooter, one of my favorite genres, horizontal and vertical. I like both kinds of shooters, and it's a fantastic game. It's got great music, great weapon system, but the game is punishingly difficult. And it's a game I've beaten, but I can't reliably beat it. If I start a game in that, it's like a 50-50 shot if I'm going to beat it or not, because the biggest issue is when you die. I mean, typical of these games, you lose all your power-ups and you get sent back to a checkpoint. But this game has a system where it has certain power-ups you could shoot over and over again, and eventually, if you shoot them enough, they'll become a glowing ball. And if you get the glowing ball, you'll notice your free life icon turns gold. And why that's important is because you can get these gold life bars. And what happens is when you have a gold ship, you'll die and respawn in the same spot. So that's big with me with trying to beat the game, because I'll go through all the levels and stack up as many gold ships as I can before I get to the final level, because the final level is the level you're going to burn most of these gold ships. And to me too, even the level before, if you like run out of gold ships the level before, I'll just turn the game off. It's kind of a a bad run at that point, because the last level is just a boss gauntlet, boss after boss after boss, and then you fight the final boss. And again, it's one of those games where it's always like, when I play it, it's always kind of hair raising, because again, I really don't know if I'm going to beat it or not. I mean, yeah, you could use save states and everything, but I mean like legitimately beat it. And I legitimately beat it. It took me a long time, but again, it's one of those games where when I boot it up, I'm kind of on the fence if I'm going to beat it this run or not, without using save states. In the number 12 spot, we have Castlevania Dracula X. One of the games on this, another game on this list I have beaten. Castlevania Dracula X, again, it's a Castlevania. I don't feel like it's one of the better entries in the series. I know people are kind of all over the place with it. To me, I'm on the side of it being a butchered port, but aside from that, the levels aren't well designed. Richter's movement is terrible. It's kind of like that old school jank where you start a jump and if you don't plan it, you're going down a cliff. And the game has a lot of unfair difficulty, especially bosses can just hit you multiple times and just knock you around. And obviously I have to mention the boss fight with Dracula, where the whole fight is set above pillars, and essentially you take it one hit and you go in the cliff. Although I will say, if you're ducking and take a hit, you won't move. So that's a little pro tip there if you guys are struggling with that part. The game is difficult, but more because of how it was designed and how Richter was programmed, and not really the game itself actually being difficult. It's just Richter himself is just kind of jank. It's not one of my favorite Castlevanias, but for me it's on the lower end, and again, I'm on the side of the fence of it being a butchered port more than a forgotten classic that people seem to like to bring up for some reason. In the number 10 spot, we have CatTrap for Game Boy. Now, I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, because I remember it's one of the Game Boy games I bought back in the day from a used game store. This game's interesting. So it's like a puzzle platformer. You play the role as these two mouse girls, I guess they are. I don't know how to describe them. But the interesting thing about the game is you get a couple levels in, and you could already you come up to a level grid, and you could skip all the way to level 99. And for me, maybe this is more of a salty thing, because I would just jump to level 99 and try and beat it, and I could not beat level 99 to save my life. Essentially, the way the game works is that you have to beat all the enemies on the screen, but you also have to push these blocks and position everything correctly so you're able to do that. So that's where the puzzle element comes into play. You have to plan your moves far in advance. And interestingly enough, this game kind of ahead of its time in a way, where it has a rewind feature, where if you mess something up, you press B and the game rewinds, so you can undo a bad move. But essentially, again, it's more about clearing each map. And again, it's more of a salty thing for me, because I wanted to see if I beat level 99, if it beat the game, or if it beat just that level. But again, I was never able to beat the game. And even independently of that, I think I got up to level 23 or 24 in the game. I'm not a huge fan of puzzle platformers. Maybe that's a part of it too, but I can never just get a handle on the later puzzles and seal the deal with that. In the number 9 spot, we have Ninja Gaiden, which I know probably comes up on a lot of retro gaming lists when people talk about hardest games. Now, I have a little bit of a different experience with it. Side-scrolling action games I'm pretty good at. So Ninja Gaiden, I can actually comfortably do most of the game is when I come up to level, stage 6 is where, most people fall apart. Me specifically, 6-2, with just all the difficult jumps and the enemy positioning. I have gotten to the bosses legitimately, but have not been able to beat them all in one run like you're supposed to. I've beaten the game with save states. I can get to stage 6 too, and then after that I just need a crutch. I try to do it legitimately, but I just if I don't get pummeled in 6-2 and I get to 6-3, I just can't seal the deal with the boss rushes, because you gotta do one after the other. I know supposedly the bosses stay dead if you beat them. I don't know how true that is, because I haven't attempted it. I do know if you get there on one life, they will refill your health between bosses, but you have to get there. But again, it's one of those games where I have beaten kind of assisted. I do hope to maybe go back to it and beat it legitimately without save states. But again, the game has a reputation for a reason. It is brutally difficult, mainly because again, just enemy positioning and how easy you can get tossed into a cliff. In the number 8 spot, we got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for Game Gear. I remember playing this game too as a kid. My friend had a Game Gear, and I think Sonic 2 for the Game Gear, this is going to be a little sidebar, it has to probably be the most common game I've ever seen with the Game Gear. Every time I see a Game Gear for sale, Sonic 2's in it or around it, everybody I knew had Sonic 2 for Game Gear. Like, Sonic 2 seems to be one of the most common games for the Game Gear I've ever seen. Even in retro stores now, you can pick it up for like maybe $10. So aside from that, but I will tell you, unlike its Sega Genesis counterpart, which is a phenomenal game, the Game Boy version, well, first of all, it's the Game Gear version, I apologize, is very different. It's got a different set of levels, a little bit of a different story, but this game, every level has a gimmick. I mean, like, the first level's got the mine carts, the later level has these lightning strikes you have to avoid, and then everyone's favorite level, the paraglider. Like, I still can't get a hold of how this paraglider works, and the annoying thing about this game is you have to figure it out, because if you don't figure it out, you just die over and over again, whether you run and tilt back or tilt back right away or tilt back at some other point. I mean, I did beat Sonic 2 for Game Gear. It's one of the games on the list I did beat, but for me, that whole paragliding spot is just completely like ridiculous. Like, there's no explanation. I still can't figure out how it works. Like, the times I've made it through, I don't even know what I did. It just, to me, it's like 50% luck, essentially, whether you're gonna run and make it across the gap or just go straight down. I know it's got something to do with tilting back here and there, but like, I don't have a foolproof method of really getting through that part of the game. Just you know, other than hope and pray that when you hit the glider, you go in the right direction. In the number 8 spot, we got Guardian Legend. I don't hear this game talked about too many times. Guardian Legend for the NES. It's a really cool game. Like, it opens with a really, like, you know, great opening cinematic. It is a horizontal shooter at first, and then you beat the first boss, and then you get laid out into this kind of like grid maze, almost like kind of like a Zelda dungeon, where like you're informed that you're the last of your race, everybody was killed, and you have to essentially, you know, salvage whatever's left. And the game opens up into, like, again, it's like a big maze. There is a map, but like, I don't find it that helpful. And you just walk around, and at this point the game becomes like kind of like a Zelda, where you walk around, but you have like a gun you could shoot. And I don't know, I just go from room to room until I find these portals that turn me back into a ship. And then I do another ship level where I find another boss, and then I get moved to a different grid area. And again, it's the same problem I have with Last Battle. I just don't know if I'm making progress. I'm not really sure where I'm going. I know when I beat some bosses, I get like life increases, but other than that, I just don't know if I'm making any progress. And that's the biggest part where I lose interest with these games, is I don't know if I'm making progress, and I kind of just disengage with it. I mean, it's a good game. It's got great music. The horizontal shooting stages are really good with fun bosses and good design. It's just like, when it comes back to the core of the game with the whole grid map system, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. There's like a little shop guy. He's kind of cute. He's got like a big blue face, and you could buy stuff from him. But other than that, like, I don't know if I'm making any progress in the game. Maybe one day I'll go back to it and try and figure it out more. But yeah, for me, it's a tough game. All right, in the number 6 spot, we have Friday the 13th for the NES. And again, this is another game where I literally watched my brother start to finish. Although this game is not as long, I've seen him beat it in legit like 12 minutes. Because essentially the core of the game is you have to defeat Jason. There's 6 camp counselors, and essentially you just wander around grabbing power-ups in between, you know, saving the children. What happens is you'll hear the Jason alarm, and then wherever he is, there is a map in the system, but the map in this game is very counterintuitive. Like, if you're moving right in the game, it's left on the map, so have fun getting used to that. If you're in the woods or the cave, just good luck trying to get out of them. So the structure of the game is you have to, once Jason attacks, you have to go find him and defeat him. You fight him either in the houses in like a one-on-one style, or you fight him on the path to a house. So the whole crux of the game is you essentially got to get a powerful enough weapon to deal enough damage to Jason to kill him. And you have to kill him 3 times, essentially. And usually the strat is, you know, you go light the fireplaces in the big houses to get the torch, and you use the torch to fight Jason all 3 times. And again, I watched the game done start to finish numerous times, and I just still can't do it myself. Like, I've beaten Jason once. I got in the torch, I've beaten Jason once, and then I'll die with the torch, and then I lose. And then once you lose the torch, that's it. You have to kind of get it again. But I can't get a handle on the dodging, because when you go in the cabins, you kind of go into like this first person kind of perspective where you're searching, which again for its time is really cool. It's really innovative for an NES game where you're searching a cabin in first person. When you fight him in the cabins is where I have most of the problem with him, is the dodging, because you have to like do like a down left or down right. You have to time it really good so you could avoid his attacks, and that's always where I struggle. I could beat him the first time comfortably, and then second and third time he gets faster and faster. I know usually at that point, like second or third time, you fight him outside the cabin. I mean, you sacrifice some kids in the process, but fighting him outside the cabins at that point is easier. But yeah, I guess one of those games where like I've seen it beat start to finish, and I just can't do it. Like, I've tried numerous times. I've only ever beaten him once, and I just can't seal a deal with the second or third time. And it continues to haunt me to this day. In number 5 spot, we have Double Dragon 3. And again, this is tough because Double Dragon 2 is such a good game. And like, I played it, I beat it on the hardest difficulty, got the true ending. And then Double Dragon 3 is it's just like a huge letdown. Like, you start the game, you're in like that dojo, you're doing a couple of fights. I mean, all the controls are the same from the second game, the uppercuts, the helicopter kick, the knee. Well, I don't know, I just feel like I can't pull them off as easily in that game. And obviously the most notorious feature of that game is just having the one life. I mean, I don't know why the game was designed like that, but I know you can unlock different characters, which kind of gives you like a second chance. But what winds up happening, I'll get outside the dojo, just get pummeled. I mean, like, I tried cheesing everybody with the helicopter kick in the knee, but like, I can't reliably pull it off. And like, I think the farthest I've ever gotten is like stage 2. But like, it stinks too, because the game looks really good, sounds really good, and it plays the same as the second game. I just don't know why they did this whole like one life system with the game. I mean, like I said, I've seen people beat it just cheesing it with like the helicopter kick in the knee, but like, what fun is there to have with that? I mean, like, using one move to beat the game. I mean, it's kind of like Double Dragon 2 for like Sega Genesis, probably. Essentially do the same thing. I feel like there's a huge missed opportunity there. Like, that should have been a really good game, and then wasn't. I mean, all they really had to do was give me multiple lives. So give me like 5 lives and 2 continues, and the game would be infinitely playable than it is now. That game, though, I don't know if I'd ever really go back to that game. I'll play it, not beat the first level, and just get disinterested, and that's it. In number 4 spot, we have Astynax. Now, this is another side-scrolling action RPG for the NES. And again, it's one of those games I remember buying new at the time. I think it may have been at Kmart at the time. Complete in box for $14. Trying to find that nowadays. But a side-scrolling action game. It's one of those games where you have the power bar. So like, you know, when you get a power up, the bar charges, and you wait, the more damage it does. The only games I like that do that are the Valve games. Every other game I hate. So this game is essentially that. I've only beaten it with the cheat code for invincibility that I got from my How to Win a Nintendo Games book. The biggest issue with this game is just like your sprite is gigantic. And the first 2 levels are manageable, but then when you get to like, you know, levels 3 and 4, you got these little flying enemies and the enemies that come at you from the ground. I mean, if you ever played, there's not a Turbo Graphics game, big Turbo Graphics. If you ever played Legendary Axe, it's very similar to Legendary Axe. The way you attack and the game flows, but like your sprite is just gigantic. And the game does also have like a ton of flicker. Again, it's one of those games I've only beaten with the cheat code. I've tried attempting it without it, and I've only gotten to, again, like level like 3 or 4 legitimately, and then the game just overwhelms me after that. I just keep getting hit over and over and over again until I just die. Again, it's one of those classic NES hard side-scrolling action games. In the number 3 spot, we got UN Squadron for the Super Nintendo. This is another game I remember borrowing from my friend John over and over again to play. And again, it's one I should like because it is a you know, a 2D, you know, vertical shooter, but it's more like air combat. So like you're fighting, it's out in space, it's all like, so you have like a fighter jet, you could pick one of 3 characters that essentially have they get different weapons, but they also have different stamina abilities. Like for instance, the big guy, he has more health, but also he has like a longer cooldown time. Then you have the other guy who has less health, but he has a shorter cooldown time. And that's my biggest issue with this game, is the cooldown time. So you have a life bar. You do have a life bar. When you get hit, you start going into like this overheating mode. And if you get hit while you're in this mode, you die 1 hit. Doesn't matter how much life you have. So to me, the life bar is almost pointless. It just might as well be R-type at that point. You die in 1 hit. But again, I've gotten pretty far in the game. It's like very mission-based. The game will spread out into a grid, and you pick like what missions you want to tackle first. And then when you do a mission or complete a mission, you get money, and you use the money to buy power-ups and upgrades for your ship. I mean, again, like I said, there's 3 characters. I usually use the middle guy. He's kind of like the middle of the road. You get average life, average cooldown time. But again, this is a game I have not beaten. I've tried it on numerous occasions. I haven't tried it recently in the last like, you know, few years. But it's one of those games I have tried on the occasion, and I just get like just destroyed. I mean, like I've gotten like 7 or 8 missions in, especially the mission where you're flying into the valley. It's got a cool setup. But again, it's one of those just and I'm usually good at vertical shooters, and I just can't get a handle on this game. I know that the cooldown thing's annoying, but I know that's not the only reason why. But to me, it's a difficult game, and I just struggle with it. And then speaking of difficult shooters, in the number 2 spot, we have R-Type. specifically the TurboGrafx 16 version. To be real, is the best version, best home port of that game. But for me, in a lot of the R-Type games, I like them a lot. I like the settings with the alien worlds and everything, and the boss designs are really good. But to me, R-Type is very like memory based, and it's got a ton of like gotcha moments where you just, a lot of times you can't plan for it. Like you're just gonna die. Like in the third stage, it'll like, you know, when you're fighting the ship, it'll randomly break apart and fire a laser backwards. And there's certain enemies that just come out of nowhere. Like you have to know they're coming and what they're gonna do to avoid them. R-Type is one of those games, again, I've gotten super far in. It actually has a continue code in the TurboGrafx. You can get up to 9 continues. And actually, the game, believe it or not, is actually in 2 parts, because technically, when the game was first released in the PC Engine in Japan, it actually had 2 parts, with the first 4 levels and the second 4 levels. And then by the time the US TurboGrafx came out and they made that port of the game, they're actually able to put both parts onto one U card, which is why you won't see a US R-Type 2, because literally you play the Japanese R-Type 1, it's only half the game, it's only 4 levels. It doesn't have the second 4 levels in the game. And the second 4 levels, man, that difficulty ramps like right up. I couldn't imagine, you know, having the Japanese version of R-Type 2, booting it up, essentially at stage 5 and just getting like annihilated, because stage 5 in the game is really difficult. I mean, the game is difficult overall. I mean, I played a lot of it. I won't start to struggle until the second half of the levels, especially like stage 7 and 8. But again, these games are heavily reliant on memory. You just have to know where you need to be at what times to play the game. And again, I love R-Type to me, but like for me, it's more of a memory game than a skill game. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a tremendous amount of skill to play, but for me, it's mostly memory. You just have to know like what enemies have what blind spots, where to be at what times to like complete the game, you know, legitimately. And then a number 1 spot, another TurboGrafx 16 shooter, Dragon Spirit. This is one of my favorite games too for the system. Like, I love this game. The music, the gameplay, the graphics, it is really good, but it's also super difficult. But it's one of those games where it's really the last 2 levels that get really difficult, like stage 7 and stage 8, like in most of these games, when you get to the castle. Because I can comfortably get to stage 7 or 8, no problem. But this is one of the games where you got to stack up all your lives to get to these later levels. I would say I have an easier time with it than Blazing Lasers, but the final boss, you need speed ups to beat, because like essentially, if you're not fast enough, you're just not going to beat the final boss. I read somewhere that like he wasn't really supposed to be that fast, because again, if you don't have a certain amount of speed ups, you're not going to beat the last boss. I mean, the best strategy to even fight the last boss is to like get the power up where you're tiny, and then you can move around him. Essentially, he's like this floating demon thing with a tail, and he has this like rod that he holds that'll like block your shots. And the only time you could shoot him is when he, you know, is opening the rod. That's why you really should have the fire weapon at that point. But again, that's one of those games where I can't reliably beat it. Like sometimes I'll beat it and have a great run, and sometimes I'll just get annihilated at stage 7 or 8, just because of how 7 and 8 are structured. They're pretty much just tons of enemies, but there's also tons of power-ups. So like a lot of level is structured on you just getting as many power-ups and as many lives as you can, which it does. It's pretty generous with it in those last 2 levels, and you know, it will set you up for success, but like that final last boss is really, really difficult. And there is a randomness to what power-ups you're going to get as well. You can get a great set of power-ups before, you can get a crap set of power-ups before. Again, it's completely random. So anyway, that is my 15 hardest retro games. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and have a good day.